My comment wasn't just inappropriate, it wasn't even funny. Comedy is not my forte. I'm just here to say sorry. Many of you asked if this is how I wish to use my platform, and obviously this is not how I wish to use it. I'm not going to give any context or justification or reasoning behind whatever happened. I'm just here for an apology. I personally had a lapse in judgment.
Why at least apology to coffee mat kar. Bro, this thing is really over now. हो गया सब कुछ खत्म. साला हिंदुस्तान बचा ही नहीं है दोस्त. तो हेलो देयर, किधर रिवर्स सत्स्रीकाल, क्योंकि क्या पता कुछ मैटर हो जाए. क्योंकि देखो इंटरनेट रिस्क पे तो है, कौन सा नहीं होता है यार. क्योंकि अब सब पे हो रहे हैं एफआईआर. जेनजी की फिर से ले रहे हैं बूमल भुन. एनीवेज, नवी वीडियो आ चुकी है. आई नो बहुत टाइम हो गया है एंड देयर इज ए रीजन व्हाई दिस केम लेट. नॉट कॉलेज स्टफ. क्योंकि मॉल ठंडा होगा तभी तो गर्मी बढ़ेगी ना. Who said that? I don't know. Maybe Martin Scorsese or something. Wow, absolute cinema. But jokes aside, I'm your host, not Dost. चाय में डिप करो अपना टोस्ट और फिनिश करते हैं. अबे मुझे नहीं डलो, तुम्हें चैन नहीं आता है क्या मेरा रिवाइंड उड़ाने के बाद? बिना किसी कैरी के, क्योंकि सारे एपिसोड्स डिलीट हो चुके हैं और बीबी का एपिसोड आने वाला तो है नहीं, एक्सेप्ट ए बी फीडिंग सॉन्ग. भाई इसको क्यों इतना बड़ा मैटर बना रहे हो यार. हो गई गलती पास्ट में उससे. अब एड्रेस नहीं किया कुछ दिनों से. 9 साल पुरानी कंटेंट तो क्या गांड ही यार. हो जाऊंगा कैंसिल यार. शिट. अब आ रहे हैं उस पे, पूरा वीडियो देखो. वॉच टाइम तो कोई देगा नहीं, क्योंकि क्या पता ये वीडियो भी चिड़िया की तरह उड़ जाए. क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं, क्यों लिखता हूँ ऐसे स्क्रिप्ट्स. मतलब जोक से एफआईआर होते हैं तो इसीलिए खराब ही सही, जिससे सीधा कोर्ट. अरे यार ये देश इतना मान है. वाह, ऑस्कर दो हमें बैंडी. अब मेन मुद्दे में आने से पहले मैं ये बता दूं कि हम क्या क्या कवर करने वाले हैं. बिकॉज नाउ वी हैव ऑल्सो गॉट वायरल वीडियोज वेयर गर्ल्स आर लिटरली बीटिंग द शिट आउट ऑफ ऑटो ड्राइवर्स. दिस स्टोरी कम्स फ्रॉम मिर्जापुर. मतलब नाम खराब करके तो रखा है शो का. एंड देन वी ऑल्सो हैव इन्फ्लुएंसर्स एंड बिग बॉस, जो कोई नई चीज नहीं है. ये 2-3 सालों से चल रहा है. सो डोंट बी सरप्राइज. आई मीन अच्छा हुआ इसको बिग बॉस ने जल्दी निकाल दिया, नहीं तो ये सलमान का जुल्म कर. अरे यार, I mean, parents condition their kids to like and love the Bollywood life, for which that is all they ever know. And this is why you have all these toxic fans who blindly love Bollywood celebrities and end up harassing others because of their shitty origin stories. And the cycle continues with their kids and how they teach them the culture and art of glorifying Bollywood, especially the bad and the really nasty and ugly stuff, whether inadvertently or not. I mean, I think we are one of the most hypocritical generations that we have seen ourselves. जैसे किसी celebrity और influencer के पीछे बावले हो जाना, और जब खुद influencer बन जाओ तो इतना बड़ा attitude नए influencers का, जो लोग following to followers ratio flex करते हैं. Like, भाई मैं 2 लोगों को follow करता हूँ, मेरे followers 5 लाख है, नहीं millions है. I mean, why? Well, there's no content. You just made people famous who literally did nothing other than open up their cameras, as well as falling for luxury items and cheap prices scam with legit brands being used, spending a shit ton of money through EMIs just to buy an iPhone that you'll barely use because you'll be waiting for the next model and will scramble for something or the other trendy premium product even though you have barely anything. और Gen Z बाबास के साथ कोलैब करना स्ट्रीम पे, क्योंकि उन्होंने IIT छोड़ के कुंभ में अपना योगदान दिया है, then educated or not, Gen Z is being unemployable because of their lack of skills and temperament being seen as unbearable in the workplace, and if employed, they are fired anyways and resort to selling tea or street food, or worse, selling themselves on the internet via illegal means to earn at least enough to feed themselves and their families. And if that gets successful, then you know the reason why. And I'm not looking at you. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. Then we have moral policing, and even after reaching past the developmental stages and into adulthood, there's issues with attitudes such as, I'm the only one who is right, I know what is best for this world, and everyone else, they're all just snowflakes, and if I am the same thing, no bro, I am not this. And funnily enough, we have some Gen Z people who get offended when they are labeled as that because they think Gen Z is not cool. And why is it not cool? Because they themselves do everything that makes them that way. Wait, that includes me, but point is Gen Z either way. I mean, what is it with them? ये लोग ऐसे क्यों होते हैं? क्यों समाज में इन्हें साफ करने की बात की जा रही है? इसकी बात हम वीडियो में और विस्तार से आगे करेंगे, तो वीडियो पूरा देखिए, और at least timestamps है, so if you want to know some specific details, then you're free to skip to the part you want. I know watch time जुट जाएगा, but whatever, क्योंकि भैया वीडियो तो लंबी होने वाली है वैसे भी। क्यों? क्योंकि बहुत कुछ है कवर करने को, तो शुरू करते हैं for real this time. So to understand why we are going through all these issues and why being a Gen Z is very controversial these days, well, at least according to most older generations, but also ironically us Gen Z as well, we need to understand आखिर ये Gen Z की शुरुआत कहाँ से हुई, and moreover ये millennials वालों ने ऐसा क्या कर दिया कि अब Gen Z की हालत कुछ इस तरह हो गई है, and why it matters a lot more than we would like to take for granted.
Wake up in the morning feeling like
After months of disruptions, the Hollywood writers' strike is nearing its end, after writers reached a tentative deal with major studios. So is Hollywood about to get back to business?
Gen Z, the digital natives, the activists, the creators, loved by some, criticized by others. But who are they really? Why do they stir such strong opinions? To understand this generation, we need to explore where they come from and who they've become and what it means for society. Born between the mid-90s and early 2010s, Gen Z is the first generation to grow up with the internet right at the fingertips. Yeah, and they've never really known a world without smartphones, social media, or instant information, or at least most of them. But they're mostly shaped by global events such as 9/11, the 2008 financial crisis where a shit ton of recession happened, climate change movements, which they themselves don't really obey, but whatever, and then they learn resilience and adaptability for the most part, but again, that's a whole other issue, gaining a unique perspective on the world regardless of whatever issues have been going on. From curious kids on MySpace, initially MySpace existed before Facebook until Mark Zuckerberg decided to zuck out MySpace, to influencers on TikTok, they evolve rapidly. They value authenticity, seek experiences over possessions on paper, and are redefining how we look at success. But they're not just digital consumers, are they? They're also digital activists, from Black Lives Matter to Fridays for Future. They amplify their voices on social media mostly, and thereby they challenge the status quo. On the other hand, Gen Z activists claim that they're not just fighting for their future, they're also fighting for everyone's future, such as through movements against climate change, movements for racial justice, mental health awareness, which are all universal issues these days. However, with boldness also comes backlash. Critics say they're too sensitive, too entitled, obsessed with cancel culture. Some blame digital dependency for a decline in their social skills, which leads them to go on a really darker path. Yet others see their demand for accountability as a threat to traditional and conservative values and norms. Moreover, cultural critics claim that older generations see Gen Z's demand for accountability as utter disrespect on the table, but it's also really about holding power to a higher standard, their standard. But despite these criticisms, it can be seen that they're reshaping society by prioritizing mental health, championing inclusivity, diversity, and challenging outdated norms, which can be as outdated as 2 seconds ago, but that's a different story. Why am I laughing, bro? Come on. It is true, okay? And they're also redefining workplaces, influencing politics, and driving cultural change, paving the way for a more transparent, equitable, and sustainable world. On the other hand, futurists argue that Gen Z is rewriting the rules, which is a good thing, and it should be, because if not them, then who's gonna do that, right? And their impact will be felt for decades to come. As if the millennials haven't done shit. But okay, I should stop. But point is that there are a lot of arguments for Gen Z, and we should acknowledge them as well, because we are Gen Z and I am Gen Z, and I'm making this video for Gen Z. Yeah, god damn it, I should make myself very clear now. So according to many people, as well as Gen Z, the future is gonna look like pretty much shaping the future by innovation, activism, and cultural influence wherever they can dip their toes in, and their emphasis on mental health and accountability sets new societal standards. So you must have good mental health, you must have good accountability in order to survive in society, even though on paper that is true, right? In practice, it's a different story, because it is a different story, as we can see if we go outside our house and touch grass for once. And also potential long-term impact on politics, as we can see by figures such as Greta Thunberg, who at the age of 16 has made a huge difference in climate change movements. Wow, we must commend her for whatever she's done. I'm not kidding, actually. And also an economical impact as well as cultural dynamics, which for the better or worse is also possible. But they also face challenges such as financial instability, work-life balance, and navigating digital parenting, which even Gen Z does, because now Gen Zs are also becoming parents. But there's also criticism towards the Gen Z being perceived as overly sensitive, at the same time overly insensitive, a paradox that can never be answered, but also advocates for cancel culture, because if you make a mistake, your life is over. That's what should be the key to success. And also generational clashes, such as different communication styles and cultural references. But again, why does society criticize them? Because of course, they're seen as challenging the status quo, ending their careers in one sitting, and also their call-out behavior. Like, you don't want to be called out by them because they know your internet history somehow. And also, they can be harsh and radical, which is kind of true. I'm actually really scared. And also, criticisms of their digital dependency all the time on their phones, the boomer argument and whatnot. And also short attention spans, so much that even 1 second seems like a lot to them. And also their demand for social justice, like, bro, what about the other types of justice, bro? And also that is being perceived as rebellious or too woke. Why are you woke, man? Just support Donald Trump or something. But I mean, again, that's a whole other argument for another video. So just subscribe if you want to see that down the line. In case this video gets deleted, I could have another video that gets it. Okay, I should shut the fuck up, but whatever. And also there are implications for society and the world. Also, how is their long-term impact on societal values, economy, and global dynamics going to look like? But again, it wasn't always this bad. Or was it? Because Gen Zs have also lived their childhood, or at least like some of them have lived their childhood by experiencing remnants of analog culture such as DVDs and cable TV, like I have, and also they witnessed the shift from landlines to smartphones and from MySpace to TikTok, and also a transitional phase that they learned to adapt from quickly to changing digital landscapes. So again, adaptability is key to success. But also, the coming of social media has drastically changed how they were before this, because if we look at it broadly, we just realize that, well, they were practically almost nothing before social media and its impact. However, it wasn't like they were nothing, because again, they were pretty much going around the direction millennials were, but the deviation comes from the progression of technology, which resulted in a spike of revolutions such as the social media revolution, from Facebook and YouTube to short form platforms like Instagram, Snapchat and TikTok, which again compete against YouTube and Facebook, which are long form platforms where people usually post longer forms of video. But even there is now a trend of short form content to accommodate to latest Gen Z and now Gen Alpha and Gen Beta needs. And also they shape influencer culture, virality and digital identity construction. So who is gonna be viral, which influencer is gonna be influencing someone, and also who holds an identity, how do they construct one person's identity and perceive one person, is all dictated by mostly a single generation. And also constant exposure to information, trends and social issues globally that also facilitate this influencer loophole, as well as the rise of their digital activism and social justice movements, which add to the whole social revolution conundrum, which is not even that social, which I'll explain in a later segment. But for now, we have how their introduction is that they grew up in a world with some limited internet access, basic mobile phones and analog entertainment at the start, but eventually it became to the point where they practically have everything, where analog experiences in early childhood and digital immersion in adolescence. However, their lifestyle and social interactions before smartphones usually involved consoles such as Game Boys and PSPs and the early iterations of PlayStations. Also, their communication was again through devices such as Nokia and flip phones, which those were the days, man. The devices were so minimalistic. You didn't have to worry about having a lot on your plate. You could literally just play some games or do some small things and call it a day. And also social interactions, they were more in-person play dates, in-person gaming. So you literally go to each other's houses and pull up some games. Also, you play some roadside cricket, like in India there is gully ka cricket, वहाँ पे लोग खेलते रहते हैं, and all sorts of innovative stuff, as well as community gatherings with other generations as well. So it included more cross-generation interactions, which also incited their development in a better way. Or so it was until the advent of social media, as well as they had some outdoor activities and education. There were limited digital tools, so there was still more reliance on books and physical learning materials rather than just scrolling on your iPad and then getting distracted and going to Instagram and liking some weird ass reels. And their behavior and dynamics in terms of social aspects in society, because there was more emphasis on face-to-face communication and social skills and peer-to-peer interaction shaped by school environments and neighborhood communities like apartments, villas and nearby stuff and whatnot. Also, they had early exposure to culture shifts despite the lack of internet before the advent of better internet, such as transition from CDs to MP3s and VHS to DVDs, and social norms that influenced by millennial pop culture and early internet trends, which revolutionized traditional pop culture such as comics, movies, and TVs, and how much we consume them, which also facilitated digital evolution and gradual integration, like transition from dial-up internet to broadband, influencing the media consumption habits, introduction of early social media platforms, adaptation of basic gaming consoles and offline multiplayer experience, but steady shift towards digital communication such as MSN Messenger. Anyone remembers that? Exactly. Even I don't. That just shows how young we are. And SMS as well. An impact of smartphones and social media. However, that had to happen, and now there's a radical change with their introduction from the late 2000s to early 2010s, and a shift from physical to digital interactions such as messaging people on Snapchat, sending your snap streak to your friends, and DMing people on Instagram, and shortened attention spans and increased screen time, as well as new challenges such as being cyberbullied via an Instagram comment, and online validation such as OnlyFans. Yeah, that happens. And as well as digital identity crises such as, I don't know, your profile being impersonated by someone and that impersonator basically taking your place and Instagram zucking your account instead. And also, this is partly why society criticizes Gen Z, because of their perception of being addicted to screens and social media validation, critiques of superficial relationships and lack of deep personal connections, accused of being overly sensitive, influenced by cancel culture dynamics, seen as disruptors, challenging traditional social cultures and norms, and the implications it has for society and the world, because Gen Z, as pioneers of digital activism and whatever, like I said before, as well as redefining how we look at social interaction. So this is not just a Gen Z problem, it becomes a millennial problem as well, because even millennials are kind of following this trend, and even some Gen X people as well. And also education and workplace communication, influencing cultural norms, consumer behavior, and global trends. Then there is long-term societal impact on everyone in general and how the world just goes on in the near future. However, now we have anti-social, unsocial media, or as I like to call it, the internet, not the internet, don't get yourself confused, and the dark side of digital natives, because they have a deep integration of digital devices in daily life, which on paper isn't a bad thing, is it really? But however, as we look into it more in detail and in a subjective sense, we realize that this deeper integration also leaves us kind of metaphysically handicapped in a sense. So even if you have all your body parts, you're still kind of handicapped, where some people have brains but they don't use it to 100% capacity because they don't want to, or perhaps it's just because I have Google, I have ChatGPT, so I can just ask them and let myself know and act like I have acquired or 69,001 million IQ after reading the text on that. Communication, entertainment, and education being influenced by all that, and hyperconnectivity leading to unique behavioral patterns and social dynamics, because now we live in a hyper digital world, constant social media usage with primary communication tools such as Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and whatnot, scrolling reels and shorts addictions really going too far, with people literally dying because of being neglected by doctors instead of doing their job because they were too busy watching just another Instagram reel. उसके बारे में कोई बात नहीं करेगा, कोई न्यूज़ के बारे में चर्चा नहीं करेगा. Everyone is behind that one thing that one person said क्योंकि उस पे FIR होनी चाहिए, rather than someone's neglect who literally is responsible for a person's death. right away in front of them, and they couldn't do shit because they were watching an Instagram reel. So why not file an FIR against them rather than just complaining about some person making a shit-ass joke? Anyways, there's also a shift from in-person interactions to digital relationships and virtual communities. As you would have seen, there's a trend of robotic girlfriends that has surfaced in Japan, as well as AI girlfriends. So now you don't need a real girlfriend as long as you can just ask ChatGPT to be your Valentine or your partner. Although you can't really do some kinky stuff with ChatGPT unless you're not okay. But anyways, that's all really crazy stuff, but believe me, that shit is so true these days. And also dependency on online validation through likes, shares, and followers. You would have seen like people, their lives being dictated by how many likes have they gotten on that one post, how many people have shared that one reel of theirs, and how many followers do they have on all their social media platforms, how many followers they have on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, MySpace, Duolingo, and whatnot, as well as instant gratification culture influencing patience and attention spans, where excessive screen time impacts mental health and productivity, as they say and claim themselves. So this is very ironic how those people who claim to be champions of mental health and productivity are the ones who encroach on other people's mental health the most and productivity the most, on purpose, because they need likes, they need shares, they need followers, and they ain't gonna get that if you're mentally sound. As well as superficial communication, increase short form content leading to shallow interactions, because, and if you're gonna see a creator for 1 second, then why would you expect to interact with them for like, I don't know, 2 hours on a podcast or something? As well as cancel culture, with the tendency to call out or cancel individuals without context or forgiveness. And even if there is a context, like someone made a shitty joke, someone said, would you rather do this, and then added parents to the mix, you would still cancel them because yes, they did something wrong, but there's not much forgiveness, there's not much empathy. And I'm not saying that, everyone needs to be forgived or something, but like, this just goes too far, because if you can't forgive someone else for their mistakes, then you won't be able to forgive yourself either, and the cycle keeps going on and on. And there's also online trolling and cyberbullying, as we have seen in recent times, because frankly speaking, anonymity enables toxic behavior and harassment, because you're not going to be caught, right? You can easily get away by calling someone caste slurs and whatnot, and not doing your research about caste slurs and using them openly in educational videos and calling yourself some messiah of goodness and whatnot. So the impact on social media and internet culture is that now we have short-lived trends and meme culture influencing societal attention spans, overemphasis on aesthetics and perfectionism, promoting unrealistic beauty standards, because frankly, if your wife ain't hot, then you ain't gonna be sorted. Yeah, that's what the constitution of Instagram says. And also, influencer culture drives materialism, consumerism, and unhealthy comparisons, where creators openly show materialistic lifestyles and get away with it. They show consumerism, they incite trends such as buying the newest iPhone, buying Vision Pro, even though the product is utterly or mostly shit, a product that most people won't even use, but still really poor ass person needs to buy it to fit into the status quo. But in reality, it does the opposite, because the next product comes out by the time you start collecting money for the Vision Pro or whatnot. This is just an example, okay? So no need to get offended, even though I know people will get offended. And also unhealthy comparisons. Like, I have seen edits of people, quote unquote, making edits of YouTube creators and their wives, and how a particular creator's girlfriend trumps all of them because she looks so hot, she looks so gorgeous, and they look nothing like her. Yeah, this shit is real, man. God damn it. And also misinformation and echo chambers where people openly get away with this, as I have explained in my previous videos. So if you want, you can check them out. I'll link them in the description, or just click on my channel and you'll find videos related to that, which explains misinformation and how creators use loopholes and manipulation tactics to entice you into watching their content, and spreading unchecked rumors and polarized narratives to suit themselves and for them to sustain their own luxury-ass lifestyles. However, the criticism and backlash from society is that they're seen as entitled and overly sensitive snowflake stereotypes, and also accused of lacking critical thinking due to algorithm-driven content consumption. So if you see one type of content, if you see cat videos the whole day, how are you expected to pay your taxes? So that's one example. I know it's an extreme example, but the point is the point, as well as them being perceived as disrespectful and rebellious against traditional norms and authorities, and them being criticized for diminishing real-world social skills and face-to-face communication. Because if you're scrolling on Reels the whole day, then why are you going to look someone in the eye and say, well, you know what? I should probably talk to another human. Maybe that human's gonna feel good. Maybe I'm gonna feel good. Maybe for once life is gonna be amazing, rather than just me watching other people's lives being amazing on online, which isn't even amazing offline and isn't even amazing online, because they just show you what they want to show you. So ultimately, the role of cancel culture and digital activism is that we're obviously all judgmental and unforgiving, and we impact public discourse so very much because of these things. And despite that, we call ourselves digital activists who raise awareness, but often are accused of performative wokeness ourselves, and the confusion between accountability and public shaming in social justice movement. So how do you draw a line in shows? How do you take responsibility for everyone's happiness and whether people are laughing or not? And how do you not shame them and say something so brutal that they cancel you anyways, even if they themselves do it in closed doors? Which creates like a climate of fear where individuals avoid sharing opinions to escape backlash, and there is a form of self-censorship. But ironically, at the same time, we are ones who do that behind closed doors, where we just do not give two shits about anything or anyone and just say the most utterly weird-ass things, and then the cycle goes on, which has huge implications for society and the world, because redefining social norms and communication styles and cultural consumptions in such a big way results in not enough time to think, which increases mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, and whatnot, which are all linked to social media pressure and cyberbullying, as can be seen in research. But still, no one likes to believe this shit, because the truth always breaks the illusions we like to garb ourselves with, because they're cozy in winter and whatnot. And also, in this influencing of political landscapes through digital mobilization and online activism has also resulted in people getting these said issues and creating generational divides in values, communication, and cultural outlooks. Overall, the rise and fall of Gen Z can be attributed to certain factors, as I have said before, but also there's a factor of generational blame, where generations like other than Gen Z blame Gen Z for societal changes such as declining marriage rates, constant concepts of divorce, and all sorts of new concepts such as situationships, talking stages, and whatnot, as well as shifting the economy by practically tweeting that Dogecoin is the best. Okay, no, that's not Gen Z, that's some weird ass Gen X boomer ass dude, but whatever. And there's also the paradox of Gen Z. Are they visionaries or villains, celebrated for progressiveness but yet condemned for extremism? They are digital natives who are masters of technology, but ironically they're also slaves to it. And they are also champions of change, advocating for justice but accused of doing injustice by cancelling out opposing views. And they are cultural disruptors who create new norms while being criticized for dismantling traditions and carrying out very, very dirty norms and being very rigid with it and trying to stick with them, even though every other thing in the world shows them that, bruv, this shit is wrong. You need to stop, and even they know it, but they won't stop because views, because money talks. So what are the implications for society and the future with Gen Z, who shape the future of work, politics, and cultural values, who have the potential to bridge generational divides through dialogue and understanding as they preach themselves, and hold long-term influence on mental health, advocacy, environmental sustainability, and digital ethics by fighting against scams such as the recent digital arrest scams, which is a good thing, and questioning societal adaptation. Is society ready for the Gen Z demands? However, Gen Z is a complex, paradoxical generation influencing every aspect of society. Their rise and fall reflect rapid technological change, social evolution, and cultural shifts. And now there's an open-minded question: will Gen Z be remembered as pioneers of progress or simply agents of chaos?